Hello and welcome to a new moon reading that we're doing on this fine Friday afternoon. I'm excited to get into this. I tried to record a couple mini readings this morning and I could probably post them, but I was like, you know what? I want to do a full spread. I'm not upstairs in my space, but I'm just going to show the cards. It was interesting. So it was like I recorded two shorts and I shuffled each time in between them and the same cards came out. The Death card, the Two of Wands, the Destiny card from the Psychic Tarot, which is the Wheel of Fortune, and a few others. Both times came out. So we'll see if they come out again. Yeah, I had a message this morning that came through and it was about the fact that things are changing. Here, I split the deck and I get the world. Whole world. I said this in the reading from the other day. Your whole world is changing. And I think that by the end of February, that's going to be made apparent to a lot of us in a lot of different ways. But let's get into it. All right. King of Wands came right out. We love to see it. But why is it here? King of Wands. I didn't even ask anything yet. I was going to do current energy, energy to embrace, energy to release. So we're going to take King of Wands as our current, okay? I'm going to shuffle out for energy to embrace now. Hermit. Energy to release. All right. Well, that's a huge bundle, so that's too many. Let's do that again. We've got Queen of Cups, Five of Pentacles, a few other things in there. So let's see. What's the energy to release right now? New moon. Seven of Swords. So that makes sense because this is our little, sneaky guy. But the way that I was talking about this card the other day was around the notion of obsession, because from the Rebel deck, we had a card that said, stop obsessing. You're not the center of the universe. And sometimes we think we're doing the right thing, like making sure that we don't affect people in a negative way when we obsess over a situation, because we want a good outcome. We want to try to foresee ways to control outcomes so that they go favorably for ourselves and others, hopefully in most cases. But there's something around not being able to do that, not needing to do that, and having it kind of like, compound anxiety within ourselves, because that is wasted efforts in a lot of cases. Hi, sweetie. You're pretty. Okay. So we've got King of Wands in the current, Hermit in the energy to embrace, and the Seven of Swords. Yeah, I'm feeling really drawn into myself today, energetically, and I want to clarify the energy to embrace as the Hermit. All right, we're going to take that one because a single card fell out, and this is just too many that flipped. So what did we get here? Yeah, so the reason for taking time out in the Hermit energy right now is for the cultivation of this Empress energy. And I like that because in the current with the King of Wands, we get sort of a masculine and a feminine energy. I mean, as well as Hermit and Empress. Clarify King of Wands in the current, Queen of Pentacles. A little bit more of that. Now we've got, two masculine and feminine couplets here, helping us to understand. So let me kind of take it a little further. Did I say the message? Yeah. It's about your whole world changing, something changing and something changing quickly. I'm hearing to get the bottom of the deck right now. This is going to clarify, release the Seven of Swords. Okay, so, the Devil card is about, in the Psychic Tarot by John Holland, it's called Temptation. Number 15. Reduces down to 6. 6 is a number of the heart, okay? It's a number of heart energy, 6. And it's like when we cannot listen to or feel the truth of our heart space, we are overcome with reactive or like self-sabotagey inclinations that come from like the ego. And so with devil energy, clarifying the release of the Seven of Swords, it has to do with obsession as well. Anything obsessively fixated on can be considered devil energy. And I talk about this sometimes too in the way of addiction. Like people can get addicted to anything. People have some weird addictions out there. It all has to do with what we give to ourselves to make ourselves feel whole, make ourselves feel better. So we're releasing the obsessive need to know things when we don't know them, but also try to kind of manipulate outcomes, or even if it doesn't involve other people as well. It has to do with being trusting of the unfolding. And I will say that even though I took this one because it fell out, the first card in that chunk that flipped, the Wheel of Fortune, was there. So it makes me feel again like we're like digging our heels in a little bit to some changes that we're not quite sure where they're leading us, but they are leading us in the right direction and to where we want to go. The more resistance we put up to that, the harder it's going to be to kind of ease into a new transition. We'll clarify that. This is a big new cycle, by the way. This is an exciting new cycle. It's a big new cycle. Clarify, releasing control, Devil, Seven of Swords. Page of Swords. Yeah, I'm hearing a little bit of a message and bottom of the deck. Okay. Swords, swords, swords. Swords, 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 swords. Sort of like a return to beginner's mind after heartbreak or loss. Get back into a space of being curious and treating each moment like you were just born, you know, and really listening to what people say, really looking at how things appear, and being able to move past some type of hurt or heartbreak or dead end or ending and move into a space of newness, beginner's mind. Again, people who think that they need to come off as if they have everything figured out, or they're very uncomfortable with being, you know, out of their comfort zone, that can only serve to come back to bite you. Because when we act that way, then we are keeping ourselves in a place of not being able to learn about new knowledge and discover new things, or really receive the truth of somebody else, you know, if we already have our minds made up about something. So that's kind of what I'm getting off of this. We're moving beyond that. We're flowing. So very hard to flow. It can be sometimes. Now I'm going to go into this deck and just clarify right down the line. Look at that. Awareness. On the bottom. That's the Magician in this deck. All right, so clarifying the King of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles in the current energy. What do we have? I'm getting to take this one. Love begins. Yeah, I like that. It could be that if you're a guy, you have fire placements, or if you're female, you have earth placements, or it could be that these two elements are coming together somehow in your partnership that you're embarking on. This is the Ace of Cups. That's a beautiful thing to clarify our current energy. One more from the bottom to clarify that. Okay, well, it's this card again. Look. 1-1. That's really nice. Okay, and I'm also getting something here with, like, you see how this is circular? It's the bowl. It's pouring the water. Love begins. It's like a new pour. I'm seeing baptism as well, like christening something. There's a circle here as well, and there's light at the crown. So I'm sort of getting that it's like this emotional energy, this love energy with Ace of Cups. Love begins. Grounded, passionate, all good things. it's sort of like pouring down from higher realms, starting to integrate into the system through this magician energy of being able to manifest new connections. And perhaps doing that right now, or doing this right now, is going to help bring that about. So taking some time out to give to yourself and let everything be enough as it is. We can get sort of relentless around the idea of improvement. You know, a lot of people don't know how to kind of put the brakes on that and just make sure that they're really appreciating what they've already done and the space that they're in now that they didn't used to be in. That's an Empress energy quality, in my opinion, just like extreme gratitude. And sometimes it's easier to do that when we do it alone. So let's go ahead and clarify that couplet now. We love it. The Magician, love begins, 1-1. So now we've got the Hermit, which is number 9, and the Empress, number 3. Let's clarify. I'm going to take it. It was kind of weird, but 3 cards came out, okay? Wow. Okay, so 2 of Pentacles, movement, choices, and decisions. And then we've got Destiny, which is the Wheel of Fortune. And then we've got discontent and boredom. And this is interesting because this is sort of giving me this Hermit energy. Discontent, boredom. This card is the 4 of Cups, which we've been seeing a little bit of recently. So he's in this kind of like contemplative energy. But I think that sometimes with 4 of Cups, it's pictured with a little cup, like a little angel cup with wings right in front of his face. And that's representing the Ace of Cups, but he doesn't see it. So when we're discontent, when we're bored, we're not always maybe looking, you know, in the right direction. I don't believe in boredom. I think that, you know, kids these days, they're so placated by the screens and everything. Of course they're bored when they don't have that same type of stimuli, like bombarding their brains. And it's like children who had to just go outside to entertain themselves. That's like less and less common. But there's something within this Hermit energy where it's asking us to, like, any type of discontented energy or boredom right now. It's a space that's opening up for you to return conceptually, mentally, brainstorm-wise, you know, daydreamy. Return to your personal idea of abundance and like this castle in the distance. If I was in his position, I'd be leaning over this banister, looking out that way, taking in the view, you know? He's in a different position though. So we had movement, 4 of Cups, movement, choices, decisions, 2 of Pentacles. It's like, which doorway do you want to walk through? Which doorway do you want to walk through? Though they may be located side by side in the beginning when you pick your path, they end up in very different places. So there's something about this like total transformation taking place by the end of February that hinges on this new moon, where we're being asked to commit ourselves to a direction, movement, choices, decisions. It's advised to do this by connecting to your heart space. I could say more about that because I know that can fall on deaf ears too. Like, okay, connect to the heart space. Sure. No, but it's a gentle balance between making our choices and then releasing our expectations about what those choices are going to yield. The worst thing that people can do, because the Wheel of Fortune is here too, the worst thing that people can do is make a choice, but then think it was the wrong choice the whole time, you know, or like immediately second guess themselves. Energetically, when you make a choice, do not look back. I'm not saying it's not okay to like change your mind and do things differently and learn and go in a new direction. But in general, you're just creating this really waffly, uncommitted, unstable vibration that you're manifesting from when you're showing the universe that you don't trust yourself and you don't trust your intuition. And you empower yourself when you make decisions. Even if you don't know what to do, just pick one, right? Just pick one. And then something will take place as a result of that. But within that, you still create movement. And we don't want any stagnation through this energy, because I get the feeling that that's just going to lead to, you know, a little bit more of this energy. Because when we sit stagnant, that's when we come up with like fictions that weren't really there before. So there's a difference with that. And resting and rejuvenating. Let's shuffle out another card to clarify that message. Two came out. Okay, 616 thing going on here. We've got disruption, which is the Tower, and then material and spiritual prosperity. So it's the Six of Pentacles card. Material and spiritual prosperity. But we have the Tower, we have disruption from the top. Mental conflict. Okay. Yeah. Two of Swords. This is interesting. It's an interesting depiction. I was talking to somebody yesterday saying, I feel like I'm not like right behind my eyeballs today. I'm like a small version of myself that's like really deep inside my being. It's kind of a funny way to feel. It's not quite dissociated, but I just felt like I was a little bit withdrawn into myself. Very similar to how this is portrayed. But this is also like, you know, his true sight, his true thoughts. It's not like the truth, right? There's like a split. There's something else going on inside. There's layers to what he's thinking about, layers to what he's feeling. And we see that kind of repeated within this, with these layers, right? It's not united. And when I talk about the chakras, I tend to talk about the heart as like, you know, it's the middle one between the upper three and the lower three. And it's the best place to put conscious awareness when you're in a space of meditation or anxiety, because it's going to service the connection. A lot of us are kind of dismembered from our top functions and faculties with crown chakra, third eye, throat, and then being very rooted, grounded, our sexual energies, creative energies, our safety, our security, our sense of self with the inner sun in the solar plexus. So I'm getting something, there's a little bit of a relationship here, okay? The discontent, the boredom, the mental conflict, the disruption. This is 2 and 4, which adds up to 6, which is our material, spiritual prosperity. So something within being able to think about what we're grateful for and see a little break in the clouds, if you will, that's right on the horizon. But just with Wheel of Fortune, you know, like the clouds, we can't call upon the sunshine to move any quicker than it does. We can't ask the clouds to part and show us a rainbow. We're at the mercy of the elemental's energy and how they move around us when it comes to weather. And Wheel of Fortune energy is like all of those things in our lives, like the stuff that we are not in control of. And I got a Bible verse yesterday when I was driving in my car. It was Matthew 4:12. I Googled it and it said, Jesus begins to preach. I can't remember the other things that it said. But there's something during the collective energies right now where it's not like people are, I feel as if the energy is making individuals feel like they're on their own little island. But when everybody feels that way, we're all together in that. So there's something about communing with the higher self during these energies in sort of a hermit-esque energy. And instead of just finding discontentment and boredom in that space, and mental conflict. We want to be able to kind of sit with the bones of that conflict and kind of peel through those layers, because it's going to lead to a little bit more prosperity. And it's like as above, so below stuff, because this says material and spiritual prosperity, which is what she's all about. So I'm going to get some animal spirits, but I just want to clarify that message around feeling like we're on our own little island, but the reason for it being, and that's a temporary energy that's moving through right now. It's temporary, but it's giving us the chance to reharmonize our personal energies. Please don't do this, kitty cat. She's going to tip over my thing. Strength cards at the bottom. And that brings me back to this, because he's known as being the kind of like egotistical, like I am the shit, ruler of the world, king. And she's kind of holding it down, balancing that out like them. Can I get 3 cards to kind of connect these two things that are going on in this reading? 3 cards, a little 3-card spread. I want to understand what we have with the current energy around Ace of Cups, Love Begins, the Magician. I want to know why the Wheel of Fortune is here. And I want to understand more about if it goes further and if it goes beyond just like the heart chakra, taking a little bit of time out and kind of once and for all, for this cycle at the very least, putting away a little bit more of an obsessive need to control or know. And the message that's coming through right now is that that obsessive need has to do with our very valid histories that have led us to navigate the world in certain ways. It's almost like it's asking us to separate these two things, you know, and be able to go forward with a little bit of naivety, because when people don't ever walk with any type of innocent, young, new, fresh perspective, then they're never going to get any type of, you know, new, fresh experience. But yeah, let's do a 3-card spread on that situation. Oh, okay. And I'm going to cut the deck and then I'm just going to pull 3 off the top. The Well, the Lovers, and the Fool. What do you know? They're all major arcana. Cut the deck to clarify. The 3 of Cups. I love that. Look at that. 3 major arcana. The Magician's underneath that. Wow. Yeah, I said it before. I will say it again. This new moon is a really big one. I don't have anything to say for that. I haven't really read up about it. I deactivated my personal Instagram, so I typically see a bunch of, you know, posts about it, and they stick with me, so that I'm citing the things that I've read online too. But I haven't seen any of it because I'm not on the gram right now. But there's a collective energy within this transition that has to do with feminine energy. And I think a lot of like women in spiritual communities, in the seers, the light workers, the star seeds, they've just been on such a, like, if you're in this collective, you've been on a really big transformative journey for, I mean, however long you've been on it, but there was definitely a major uptick in 2022 around mission and understanding of the self. And I think if people were with like poorly suited partners that weren't aligned for them and what it is they're supposed to do in their soul contract and the life they're living right now, maybe that is when those things started to fall away or restructure so that you could create space in your life for what is truly aligned, the person who's going to be able to be a better fit for you, to support you for what it is you're trying to do. So it's a big new beginning for people in feminine energy in particular, but of course with anything, it's all connected, and feminine energy lives in male beings as well. So, this is just super beautiful. I mean, come on, look at that. the Well, the Lovers, and the Fool. I'm seeing these three major arcanas as our three women. Three of Cups is our Harmony, Celebration, Reunion card. So it's like this partnership, this stability. I mean, it is a choice as well, the Lovers card, but it can also just be like lovers or the balanced pair, the new beginning. And it's come from like a deep place of reintegration. I talked about the Well the other day as like the reservoir of bringing things up from the depths to be utilized or repurposed, really. Like things that we used to do that we didn't think had an application in our lives the way that we are today. But that just might not be true. That might not be true. We just never looked at it the way that we might be looking at it now. As far as being able to once and for all, like actually go into, if I said once and for all just now, I didn't mean it. There's few things that are really once and for all. I mean, we're always moving up and ascending and stuff. Trust the great mystery, says Whale Spirit. This card comes up, has been coming up so much. This one came up in both of the shorts I did this morning. I didn't post either of them. Beaver Spirit, lay a firm foundation. Lay a solid foundation. And again, that number 6. I've been seeing 6 synchronicities a lot. These make a 6. This is a 6. 6 of Pentacles. Got another one. Let's shuffle out. Oh, wait, I didn't finish my thought. So the message around like, maybe not once and for all, but for this cycle, for the stuff that's been changing in our lives for the past 2 years, that disruption is going to settle down, right? There's always a new plateau to arrive at within mastery and self-awareness, and things kind of begin again. We're at a new level, a new altitude of, you know, new problems, if you want to put it that way, but really it's new opportunities too. It's new, when you're at a higher altitude, you can see further. And that's where we've arrived. I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy today. Arrived? Yeah, that can only be the right word. Arove. All right, whatever. So I think the disruption energies are coming to an end because we've been challenged a lot. We've been put through a few rigorous energetic upgrades that have manifested in our lives, and certain things have gone awry, and you know what's happened. I know what's happened for me. You know what's happened for you. And it's stabilizing now in this trine of the Fool and the Lovers and the Well. It's a really creative, harmonious, connective energy. I mean, we've got a lot of major arcana out here today. This kitty's a major arcana. What card are you? You're the Empress all day. Actually, she's very High Priestess. Yeah, kitty's High Priestess. All right. What is our biggest cautionary message from the Animal Oracle? What do we need to be mindful of in this energy at the new moon? Not gonna do that again. Where's my iPad? Hang on. Sorry, one sec. I had another verse come into my mind, so I want us to look it up right now while I was sitting here. Philippians 2:16. All right, Philippians 2:16, it says, holding fast to the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I may be proud that I did not run in vain or labor in vain. Hold firmly to the word of life, then on the day of Christ's return, I will be proud that I did not run the race in vain and that my work was not useless. Okay, that's a strong energy. That's a strong message. That's really interesting that I heard that. I mean, I think it has to do with this. Moving away from this, understanding what this is and how this manifests in our lives. I think a lot of people are starting to understand that. Starting to understand that the things that maybe we thought it had to do with in the past, you know, it's just so interesting, like these levels and these layers of conscious integration and how we don't understand how simple things are, right? Because we get far away. Throughout the course of our lives, we get far away from being able to be truly authentic. It's kind of just what happens to a lot of people because of how people get wounded and adapt as a result to protect themselves, to protect their inner children. It was 31:11 when I looked up. That's 3111. The other thing with that verse is that I'm getting that it's like when you embody the love of God because you like yourself, you love yourself, you care about yourself and your own well-being, and you give yourself the benefit of the doubt, it's so much easier to offer that to others. And when they interact with your energy, they feel the forgiveness, you know, the forgiveness, the compassion that you have for yourself and that you're offering to them. And I'm being brought back to this card again, the Lovers. I mean, that it's like, okay, thank you for that message. So what's our cautionary animal spirit? What is it that we need to keep in mind here? That too, it's saying like, you know, what did it say? The word of life. Holding firmly to the word of life. Yeah, it's saying an obedient believer is somebody who holds fast to the truths of God. So I know that this is not everybody is religious, but in general, we're talking about, you know, we're talking about universal life force energy. I mean, the Bible it's Jesus teaching people how to live in accordance with God and not succumb to the devil, right? And we've got these 6 synchronicities, 666 being the number and the mark of the beast. And I mean, think about it, like Adam and Eve with the apple, the snake. Adam gets to name all of the animals and they're under his dominion. This is the kingdom of man. But they say that this is also the devil's playground, right? And there all this stuff on the internet about chosen ones, you know? That's anybody who chooses. Chosen ones are the ones who choose. When you start choosing different for yourself and want to form a connection with God in whatever language, in whatever way you choose to create that. For me, it's through my artwork. My art and my healing practice is my religion. It touches on a lot of different religions, but basically, these are human lessons. These are lessons on human nature. Isn't that right, Mr. Schmill? Is it your time to come into the reading too, boo-boo? It's like we're realizing how much we've gone against our own best interest or the ways in which we've let ourselves down, right? For not thinking that we have another option or for not understanding, you know, why we acted the way that we did. So I'm yet to get this. I'm yet to get this cautionary mindful message, but I will right now. Oh, I want to share something too. This is really interesting. Actually, it's not that interesting. Bottom of the deck. How interesting. Because I did talk about this card. I didn't actually pull it the other day. Look, another 6. 60, Swan Spirit. Time for a deep dive. With the well. You know, when people are like, I'm just not that deep. I don't like to go that deep. Everybody's that deep. We all have layers, right? It's just how willing are you to merge them, let them become united again, you know? When people deny themselves the opportunity to kind of dig deep and think about what's really true and what's really gone on, then you can't ever unknot that chain, you know? The twisties, there's always going to be something populating at the surface that's like written by code that's convoluted because you haven't cleared that out. You're not going to be able, there's going to be a blind spot, right? The irony in this is that a lot of guarded and hurt people are that way because they don't want to be taken for a fool. They don't want to be blind, but that's the blindest way to be. So there's something within the deep dive that has to do with our solitude and this Empress energy and kind of letting it be enough. Wherever you're at right now, it is enough. It is enough, you know? Swan Spirit, though. Time for a deep dive. Don't avoid that deep dive. That would be like this. Sidestepping. Saying, oh, well, I can do it a different way. I don't really have to reflect on that. I'm just going to kind of steal away. He's thinking about ways to kind of not have to do the obvious path forward. Okay, so that's our cautionary. What's our energy to embrace from the animals? Magic works through you. Scarab beetle, 52. Or 7. One more. We'll cut the deck to get. Nothing is wasted. Vulture spirit. Yeah, 63. Reduces down to 9. So, and nothing is wasted. 6 and 3. I kind of think that has to do with like time wasted or resources wasted or energy wasted, right? It's like the things that we can't change. You can only go forward. You can only choose new in the present moment. You can only choose new in the present moment. And when you overanalyze that or second guess your decisions or make decisions that aren't really connected with what you know is your truth inside, like if you make a decision that you think is going to make somebody else happy, that is how we end up in this position. Nobody was put on this earth to be like a nursemaid or a tender to the people around them. Everybody was put on this earth to be who they are and then interact with the people around them and tend to them in the ways that we choose, in the ways that the karmic structures birth us into our families and connect us in that way, but then in the way that we end up magnetizing people into our lives and choosing to part ways with others, like all of that, right? You do that with you in mind first, not because you're selfish, but because we only have our own lives, you know? You are you. Of course you need to tend to yourself over others. Only then can you even tend to them. But a lot of people end up being, who knows? I don't want to go into that. I don't want to go into all that. But let's get, I'm putting all the cards back into the deck and I'm going to pull hidden energy and then I'm going to wrap up the message. And then I'll share what I said was interesting and you can decide if it's interesting or not. It's just something that I was thinking about. Okay. Hidden energies on the bottom. I just saw this when I was shuffling. Okay, why is it hidden though? Something about this choice or our strategy again, because we did see Two of Swords, Two of Swords, Two of Pentacles, Two of Wands. What's the hidden? And I said that's one of the ones that came out in my shorts, in both of the unposted shorts from this morning. Okay, clarifying the Two of Wands is the Hanged Man and the Ten of Cups. Your Ten of Cups situation might not look like old situations that were not fulfilling, that you chose because of the way that they looked or the way that you thought that they might feel. Okay? So this is in hidden energy. complete emotional fulfillment that we're looking at from a new angle. Perhaps a period of suspension or integration, and being able to see, like I was talking about, like letting our current energy, or the energy to embrace rather, with Hermit and Empress, be this thing where we're gazing into the future or thinking about whatever it is we're focused on without overanalyzing it, fixating on it, or being overly obsessive, right? We're just kind of watching it organically evolve as clouds and sunshine do. That's this position. But there's something about the emotional component, and that, for me, takes it back to Empress again, where we're using our Hermit energy not to stew, not to be in a space of mental conflict, not to just grow bored, you know, but to really take this time to think about what we're moved to do and what we want our choices to yield. You can always go forth with intention about, you know, where it is you'd like to end up, but who's to say what the journey is going to be like? Like, he can pick where he wants to go, but we're never going to be able to have any guarantees around that. That's not how life is designed. So that's where faith comes back in. What's the biggest advice, please? Just be excited, right? Welcome the idea of love and harmony and things being easier than they have in the past into your life. This is our advice. This is our advice, and I want to clarify it from the top of the deck. Page of Swords. Page of Swords. Maybe you've been wanting to reach out to somebody. Do it. But only when you're ready, right? There's something about this, all of these cards from the Psychic Tarot. There's a lot of personal stuff that needs resolution. And I think sometimes if we, like, say, I don't know, nothing's coming to me in the way of examples, but like, people will break up with people and immediately try to fill that void and launch into another relationship without having any time to reflect on, you know, because a lot of the times they're like, well, I know what went wrong with that relationship. It was them. But we just feel very different when we're alone versus when we're partnered. And sometimes people don't want to sit in those interim moments out of discomfort, not because they've met someone else and they're so excited to start the new relationship, but because they're avoiding the solitude that comes after endings with other people. Or like just immediately getting back out there. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. People do that all the time. And if that's feels good and healthy for you, then do it. But these cards are letting me know that there's just this like pretty big release happening with our own tendencies to try to control things, or it's like we're doing so well and then we slip into this space of anxiety and we realize that we're doing it again. Whatever that pertains to, we're doing it again. We're doing it again. Something about these habits or these things that were a little bit more of a focus for the last 2 years are being replaced by a much less guarded version of loving ourselves that will lead to harmony and companionship with others. So, yeah. Hermit card from this deck coming in to confirm that if you're in a place of solitude, it's not a bad thing. This is what I just said, you know, like being able to not feel like that's a detriment to your self-worth, that you're lovable, that you're going to find somebody at the right time. There's so much loving energy all throughout this spread. But also, I mean, it's the type of energy that lasts a little bit longer than anything else that we've ever initiated from a less healed space. Yeah, the Fool coming out again from this deck to clarify that as well. This is a new beginning that you haven't seen the likes of yet. I don't care how old you are, you've never seen it in your lifetime, ever. So, and I love that it's, oh, well, I was going to say that card is a number 9, but it's not. It's a 0, so that was weird. So here's what's really interesting to me. I deactivated my Instagram and I have like a ton of Instagram accounts. So I'm just on the other ones in the meantime. And one of them is my old Instagram from when I was like in my younger 20s and in my teens a little bit. And so I follow completely different people. If I ever switch on to that account and scroll through, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot, you know, it'll be like somebody I met when I was like 19 on a road trip at a gas station. And I'm like, oh my God, random. But there was a girl that popped up and I was like, oh, I recognize her, but she used to look different. And I clicked on her profile and I remember finding her Instagram. She was a fitness influencer. Okay. And I was like 18, 19, started following her Instagram and she was just totally fit and toned, like 6-pack abs, always wearing little booty shorts, posting her workouts and stuff and like smoothies, really lean, just like the fitness influencer lifestyle. And I've always thought that she was really beautiful. And then seeing her yesterday, she doesn't look the way that she used to. She's married, she has a baby, but she's healthy. She's still a fitness influencer, but she's significantly heavier. And it was super interesting just to see that her story has become about how that period was a dark time for her. Yet all of the posts was the same way. You know what I mean? Still like, this is me and what I stand for and what I'm doing. And like back then, I didn't think that she was an unhappy person, you know? It's like a lot of women are not naturally meant to be rail thin with 6-pack abs, you know, and people have forgotten that. And I was really happy to see that she's found a healthy body shape to maintain, you know, because healthy women, they fluctuate. She had a child, but she's always still wearing workout clothes and looking beautiful and stuff. And yeah, I just, I wanted to share that because I wish I had known how unhappy she was when I was 18, you know, because I was looking at her pictures as like inspiration. I was like, I want to be like that. But it's not realistic for my body to look like that either. There's a lot of women that still are doing what she was doing 10 years ago, looking really good, you know, today, and they're just as unhappy as she was back then. So it's just a point around the fact that everything is just so incredibly curated. Even our own Instagrams are incredibly curated. They can't not be. They can't not be. It's okay to post or not post or do whatever you want, but don't ever decide that something is the truth based on what somebody's posted, because even, you know, her back then, maybe she thought she was happy. Maybe she had to go through that phase of challenge and whatever that entailed for her to figure out how to be happy. Because a lot of the times people don't know how unhappy they are. They'll tell you that they're happy. They'll insist that they're happy through their portrayal of their lives. And the more someone has to insist, the less, you know, water it really holds. So I just wanted to share that because it's important to remember that. And I'm getting moved to cut the deck just one last time for a lasting message. It's our Queen of Pentacles again. So this message came up yesterday, but it's coming back into my mind. It's about frugality and our needs. And we are so heavily targeted, bombarded from every angle, every day, from every possible method. You know, you can't even drive down the road without being advertised something. You hear it on the radio, you see it on your phone, we get it in the mail. It's easy for us to think that we're in need of things at a rate and a level that's just really unsustainable. And sometimes I just like to see how many days I can go without spending any money at all. You know, still eating well, feeling good, doing things. But it's so liberating just to be like, I wonder if I can go 5 straight days without spending a penny. And making sure that we don't rely on, like, I mean, of course it's nice to have a reward system, you know, little treats. Give yourself a little treat every now and then, but you shouldn't need a little treat to get to a stasis, right? That's where self-regulation and mindfulness comes in, where like if someone's having a bad day and they're like, I can't wait to just like go to the bar and forget all of this and drink, or I can't wait to go hit a bowl, can't wait to go, or like, I'm gonna go to the mall, I'm gonna buy something, whatever it is. That's okay, but if you do it every single time, then you're never truly resolving anything, any of the stuff that you encounter. I think people know this. But when we don't respond to those impulses for satiation, and we try to think about what it is that we think we would get by indulging that behavior, we can much more easily sort of just remind ourselves where the discomfort is coming from. Like if it's been a really tough day, maybe it's the fact that you want to just unwind and be alone and not have to think about these problems or these things that you were dealing with. So when people choose to just drink to deal with that, you end up even more exhausted, even more depleted, you know? Temporary fixes and whatnot. Shuffle out a card of advice for the Queen of Pentacles stuff around like just really honoring our own stability at whatever level it's at. Let me clarify that, please. Judgment. Yeah. Judgment. And the Magician is poking out here. So the Magician, but Judgment. Okay. It's as if, no more passes. I'm hearing like a stern teacher. It's like it's as if things that have been forgiven in the past will not be forgiven as easily from the eyes of the universe, which is an interesting message. But it's only if it's like they say, if you know, I think this is Abraham Hicks. Yeah. So if there's nothing more detrimental to you, your life, and your energy than knowing something, your truth from the inside out, knowing how you feel or what you want and going against it. There's nothing more detrimental to you than that. Similarly, there's nothing more liberating or beneficial as an investment or an action, like an effort out of you behaving in the world. There's nothing more beneficial. There's no more worthwhile use of your energy than having the very same inclination and following it, doing what it is you want, doing what it is, you know. And if that happens to have negative results, then you've realized something about yourself. Because why would you want something that isn't good for you and others? There's a reason for that. So that's not a complicated system, you know. We're supposed to avoid the things that we are not drawn to. And so much of the time we choose things, or we choose people, or we choose sentences because we are thinking more about what someone else is going to think. So be very careful of that, because it's going to start to affect you greater than it used to. We're not going to be able to get away with any of that Seven of Swords stuff. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to others. If you're compelled to hide something about how you feel or what's going on with you, then that is what needs examination, not the thing itself. There's a few layers to this, but I like this energy. I know that it's just been so zany out there, like just weird energy, stuff flying around. And because of that, it's very exhausting. I think people are going to feel super low energy lately. And then also just making sure you're drinking a lot of water. And like I mentioned a few weeks ago, just like showering a lot, scrubbing the skin, rinsing off the day. And then when you wake up, rinsing off the night. Because that will help your body and your chakra system metabolize your life force energy in a more healthy way. You will feel better from drinking just a ton of water. And I mean, I'm a water sign, so this is from one water sign to potentially another or somebody else, but it is universal in that it's clarifying and really helpful right now. So I hope that everybody's doing well. Yeah, I had a dream. No more messages. I've had very interesting dreams recently. And a lot of them are like, this just doesn't usually happen. My dreams are usually super far out and they contain very little residual day matter, which is the term for like dreaming about your actual circumstances or something that you saw or experienced in your day that just bleeds over. I typically don't have dreams like that. I don't dream about like the day or the next day. It's different. But my dreams recently have been very much about my real life and what happens each day. And what I'm getting off of that is that there's just a lot of like, like a thin veil right now, so that people who are maybe not typically so spiritual or deep in their thoughts or their healing or any of this type of language or mindfulness, they are being drawn to focus there a little bit more from universal factors. So that could look like people who are typically just like on autopilot, not thinking about these things, maybe hitting like a little hiccup or a little problem that asks them to have to think about mindful things. And then those of us who are already kind of in that space, we're kind of overrun with it right now. There's a lot of activity. So that's a note as well. All right. Be well. Sending love out there to everybody today. Bye.